Hey everybody, this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3, back here with another video, and we get to my May pay-per-view review. And the pay-per-view I chosen for the month of May, WWE Judgment Day 2005. This was a SmackDown show, took place May 22nd, 2005, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the Target Center. On commentary, you got Michael Cole and Taz. So, we start off with a match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. As the champions, Eminem defeat Hardcore Holly and Charlie Haas in a solid tag team match this was. Now, I'm not the biggest Eminem fan, and yeah, you got this makeshift tag team of Hardcore Holly and Charlie Haas, who have won tag team gold with different partners through their run with the company. And, this is them teaming up for the first time against a team like Eminem. And yes, Eminem, this was like their first pay-per-view title defense on pay-per-view. As they had just won it, after they had just won the WWE Tag Team Championships in the weeks leading up to this show from Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio on SmackDown. So, yeah. I'm not the biggest Eminem fan. Nor am I the biggest Melina fan either. I'm not that big into Eminem or Melina, so it is what it is. I mean, yes, I can respect John Morrison as a wrestler. I do like watching Morrison, but that's all. Next up, we got Carlito defeating the Big Show. And this match wasn't really that great. I mean, yes, this was this whole bodyguard that Carlito had, which was Matt Morgan, because Carlito recruited him as his new bodyguard after the Big Show turned down Carlito's offer on Carlito's cabana, and Big Show ate a bad apple on the cabana, which why he wanted this match with Carlito, and Carlito hired Matt Morgan as his personal bodyguard, and how Carlito wins is when Matt Morgan gets into the ring and gives the Big Show an F5. Yeah, the Big Show gets F5'd by Matt Morgan. And Carlito gets the victory, and I was surprised that Matt Morgan was still with the company. I was surprised Matt Morgan was still with the WWE, even in 2005. That said, we go into our next match. For the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, we got the champion, Paul London, defeating Chavo Guerrero, Eddie Guerrero's nephew, to retain the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. This was a solid Cruiserweight match between Paul London and Chavo Guerrero. They just went out there, had a great match. I mean, it's like nothing too fancy, but it was still a very fine match. I mean, after all, Chavo is just so underrated as a performer, and Paul London, he was pretty good. It sucks that WWE would fire him 2 years later. Over some bullshit. But yet, he was part of the longest reigning tag team champions, in WWE history, alongside, Demolition, but then, New Day kind of toppled those records. Next up, we get Booker T taking on Kurt Angle, and the storyline is that, Booker T is stalking Sharmell, and this was an awful storyline where Kurt Angle spent weeks leading up to Judgment Day stalking Sharmell, calling her names like gutter slut, and tried to have his way with Sharmell, which led up to a match between him and Booker at Judgment Day. Booker T and Angle went out there, had a great match. Too bad it had to come out of a very shitty storyline. Like, Booker rolls up Angle for the 1-2-3, and then right as Sharmell was about to come out, while Booker was about to celebrate his victory, Angle jumps Booker from behind, then tries to handcuff Sharmell, and then Booker attacks Angle. Then they handcuff Kurt to the rope, and then Booker beats up Angle, and that was the end of that. And I'm glad this awful storyline ended. I mean, Booker and Angle, this is what you had them doing. Booker T and Kurt Angle, great guys, great competitors in the ring. But really awful storyline that the WWE had them in. I mean, Angle Angle in June would get sent to Raw, so we would no longer see Angle on SmackDown for the duration of the year, and then before the Royal Rumble, he returned to SmackDown and won the World Heavyweight Championship in a Battle Royal, so it is what it is. Next up, we get a very crappy match for the WWE United States Championship, as the champion, Orlando Jordan, defeats Heidenreich, and Heidenreich, had turned face, and he had this little girl, who was at ringside, that Heidenreich took out of the crowd to watch him compete for the U.S. title against Orlando Jordan. God damn this cap. So yeah, this little girl is at ringside, she's cheering on Heidenreich. And Orlando Jordan gets the victory with this DDT. It wasn't... Yeah, it is what it is. This match was just balls to the wall. Not all that great. It wasn't a great match at all. So next up, we get Rey Mysterio defeating Eddie Guerrero via disqualification in a very solid match. This was a very solid match between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. These two, no matter what, they seem to have this great chemistry no matter how hard you want to shake it. I mean, yeah, they had those great matches in '97, especially the Halloween Havoc match, but then, they would have some more great matches down the line, and they would have, and even during the duration of this year, they would have a solid match here. And yes, this is the same year we lost Eddie, though, because Eddie would die when he would be found in his hotel room after he OD'd. Yeah. And yeah, yeah. Nothing to be said here, and yes, I know this would also later play into the whole Rey versus the whole custody of Dominic thing, which would come later that summer and end with the whole ladder match at SummerSlam, where Rey and Eddie would face each other in a ladder match for the custody of Rey's son Dominic. But a fine match nonetheless between Eddie and Rey. Next up, and we got the main reason why I wanted to do this show. We got, for the WWE Championship, John Cena taking on John Bradshaw Layfield, aka JBL, in an I Quit match. This was probably the best I Quit match ever. In my mind, this I Quit match was so brutal, it was so bloody. You see, this is probably the most bloodiest match John Cena has ever been in his entire career, and this was also Cena's first title defense, since he won the title off of JBL back at WrestleMania 21. They just went all over the arena, beating the hell out of each other. They ripped apart JBL's limousine. John Cena, they came on into this truck that he was wrapping his that had a DJ stand, and he had a microphone wrapping his way on to this into the arena on top of the truck, and you know, it was brutal, bloody. Both men were bloodied and brutal, and JBL uttered the words "I quit" when Cena took this like smokestack or something from this truck, and you know, he used it to nail JBL through this parchment with the Judgment Day letters, and Cena retained the WWE Championship that night. It was a brutal, brutal, bloody match. It was just awesome from start to finish. You know, once they went out of the ring and once the blood began to flow, it began to pick up. As soon as it started picking up, it got better as it went on. So, all in all, a very solid show. But oh boy, I'm not looking forward to this next review. Stick around for the month of June as I do WCW Great American Bash 2000. Yeah, Great American Bash 2000 is my next show. Stick around.